All right, we should have live streaming going.
Okay, let me get on YouTube real quick. You got it, buddy? Okay. Yep, I see it.
All right, so we should be all set. I don't know that we sent the live stream out to anybody. I'm just going to leave it on just in case because I know it gets cluttered around 1200.
No, that's fine. And then for the membership, I have our total members and how many we're losing, and we're not losing any at the end of this month, but we're losing like some in August, September, and October. Should I go into detail about that, or just say how many we're losing?
I would just say how many we're losing, and then if you have the breakdown of the corporate members.
Yeah, we lose one corporate in October.
Okay. You know who it was?
Communication Supply Corps.
Okay.
Yeah, they expire. I shouldn't say we're losing them.
The corporate membership might be important because those guys, even though they're corporate members, they have more associate memberships that they haven't utilized. So that increases our individual membership and all those corporate associates sign on underneath the corporate membership. So that's something we need to look at later.
Okay, yeah. We got till October, but we can start reaching out now. Maybe make a note about that.
All right, well, I'll leave the live stream up and then I'll go on mute. We'll just wait for everybody to trickle in.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I appreciate you.
Hey Eric, how you doing? This Colonel Shell. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I got you. Just FYI, we went ahead and turned the live stream on early so that we could capture it on the YouTube channel.
Okay, thanks. Hey Eric, it's Colonel Shell. So Andrew's not going to be able to dial in, but I did get some nominee as we discussed earlier. So just for your awareness, thanks.
Yes, sir. Tracking.
Hello, can anybody hear me?
Roger, we can hear you.
Okay, Eric, I think we're good. We're good to go. It's 1200 or close to 1200. Got about a few minutes.
Actually, it's 12 right now.
If we want to go ahead and start, over to you.
Roger, sir. Just going over the roll call real quick. Looks like we got Karen Derrickson online, Lon Carl, John Sexton, yourself, sir, Rosa Moncada, myself, sir. That's currently the limitation here in the room. I'm assuming some others will join in as we continue on, sir.
Okay, so we've only got a few. Is anybody out there dialed in via telephone?
It doesn't look like it, sir.
Okay, well let's go ahead and begin. We'll make this quick. I've got some updates as we go through, but I appreciate the team coming in and dialing in for this. It looks like it is the small group, but at this point we were going to put out some information, but more importantly, it's to start nominating some personnel for changeover of the leadership in accordance with our bylaws, and then so start thinking about that as we go through, and then if you can go to the next chart, Eric, I appreciate it. So Rosa, if you could just give us an update on the membership numbers and who's coming due and what we need to do to sort of reach out to twist arms or what have you. Over to you.
Hi, everybody. This is Rosa. Currently, we have 49 members. We don't have any members expiring at the end of this month. We have a one-year membership expiring the end of August. We have 3 expiring the end of September. Those are the free cadet memberships that we gave away at the Las Cruces. Those were all the NMSU cadets there. And then we have 4 memberships expiring in October. One of them is one of our corporate ones. It's Communication Supply Corps. And we're going to have to reach out to Mr. Rick Jr. before October.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate it, Rosa. I think also at some time now that the PCSs are starting to occur, we might want to plan a upcoming meeting where we do a membership drive with new military members coming in as part of that, to try to get them either moved over if they're already AFCEA members to our chapter, or generate some more interest. So I would probably say September would probably be a good time for that. And then we can bring it in as we get into our Tech Day. But yeah, I appreciate it, the update.
Roger, sir.
Okay. Who's and is Glenda dialed in? Okay, we haven't, I don't think we've done with the COVID situation, done much on educational outreach yet, but I would like to highlight in this that we're going to try to get some more information from AFCEA International headquarters on some of the scholarships that national level provides, and we're going to try to I'd like to get some of that information out to the local communities, because they've actually had international go down to, for example, Baton Rouge and present some actual scholarships. So I'd like to see if we can't get a little bit of love there until we can eventually build up our own, to do our own local scholarships to assist those going into STEM or what have you. Any other comments from the members on education? Okay. Next topic, please, Eric. Over to you, Eric.
Sir, for our financial update, currently our operations fund has about $1,700 in it. That's not including the $100 I keep cash on hand. Basically, it's comprised mostly of the $1,000 donation from First Command, very generous donation that's going to help support our fundraising activities, specifically in support of the Signal Ball and the SCRAW events. As far as some of our purchases this last quarter, sir, we did purchase the raffle tickets, again, to support our fundraising activities, as well as new banners with new logos as required by the chapter. As far as SCRAW, sir, currently we are down to about $40 in the account for SCRAW specifically, and that is because we did place a $300 deposit on the Centennial for the Signal Ball. That deposit is still good, and the dates, however, in flux, we decide to go forward with that, we can move those, but that deposit is still at the Centennial for the time being. And just to recap, the Educational Foundation, looking at an FY21 establishment, but currently got no funds dedicated to our Educational Foundation at this time. So.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate it, Eric. I think we're going to try to change the bottom number, if possible. I will say that, you know, I'm not going to ask for any recoupment from our funds. I did purchase a coffee mug as a show of grace or thanks to our last speaker. Got that in about $20 or so, but I think we'll probably as we go up, and I don't mind doing that at a small change, but we may need to have either some coins. I think coins, mugs, or something that we can give away or send to our presenters in the future as a thank you. Okay. Any other comments from the membership on finances? Over. Okay. Go to the next. And Andrew isn't on, but having had the opportunity to speak at the AFCEA San Antonio chapter, or the Alamo chapter, it was actually a very the way they do it and focus. They put a lot of emphasis on corporate, and so I think we have an opportunity to get a little bit more corporate sponsors, and that's something I'm going to try to assist with. And that's why the last time we actually had some, this is brought to you by First Light or not First Light, First Command. This is brought to you by SAIC if they are a corporate member. But I'm going to try to expand some of that and then make it more appealing to the corporate members that can give us some of the funds that go into our kitties as we go through. But anyway, that's some thoughts on the corporate. I think we have some room for growth, a lot of room for growth, and that's how the Alamo chapter gets as large as they are, is based off of what they do with corporate initiatives. And I'll pause if there's anybody that has any comments on this. Okay, go to the next, Eric. Okay, so I had the opportunity to sit in on a couple of AFCEA international forums over the last month, and there's actually some good initiatives that AFCEA headquarters is doing. There's multi-million-dollar events that they put on. AFCEA TechNet, for example, down in Augusta. They're actually looking through how they go about doing them and still being able to have the same outcome doing them virtually. So they're working through some of that, those combinations. There was a request for a merging of two chapters in Maryland One was an engineer chapter. The other one was a Baltimore chapter, and I guess they just merged. So I voted yes. There was nobody that I don't think that disagreed with that. But anyway, it was interesting to sit in on that. AFCEA Alamo chapter is the second largest chapter, followed by the DC chapter. But I think we have the opportunity to boost our chapter here. And like I said, a large portion of what they do in those is get the corporate members and then get them affiliated with their folks that are here. So that's going to be a like I said earlier, an initiative that I try to work as I have maybe a little bit of more time on my hands over the next few months. The other thing they talked about is, it was interesting that we had quite a few international folks on from France. They had some folks on from Turkey. And I'd like, at least from within JMC, we have a lot of relationships with some of the folks that we've done multinational partners like the UK. I'd like to send out an invite to them to maybe sit in on some of them to get our stuff to get a little bit of a flavor on there. So Captain Thornton, not Lindsay, get it to him. I'm sure he'd participate. Anyway, it just gives us a little bit of a different flavor into our chapter, given that we have huge ties right now with some of our multinational partners. So I think that'd be good to see if we can get them into our chapter from remote, or have sister chapters that may be in France or UK if they are part of their members. And that's what what they've been putting out. They just approved the new board of directors for the international piece, and be surprised, there's quite a few big companies that are in there, and the big companies are leveraging AFCEA as a means to give back and also keep their pulse on what's going on within the military services. So anyway, it's a lot of good stuff that's going on. A lot of concern about, there was some discussion about whether the chapters are going to, when the COVID, situation sort of subsides. If it does, there's some discussion about whether we just do away with all the virtual stuff or keep a combination. To me, I sort of like having the combination of both the virtual and physical. And so we got to figure out, we've already discussed some things where our old past lunches that was some of the revenue generation for us, is how we can still figure out how we can still get information, the membership can participate, and then how we can go about, we got to figure that out. But I think having a combination of virtual, now we got to get the message out, and that's part of my fault. We got to get the messaging out to the members so we get mass participation from our members here. But it's I think this is probably a good venue that we need to keep. We just need to figure out how we can do it and how we can get maybe some corporate sponsors for like a virtual table or something of that sort. Because again, it is more convenient than everybody having to drive 30, 40 minutes to get to a location for an hour, plus brief or discussion. And it allows people to dial in different venues. So I'll pause there. I'm curious from the rest of the members that are here if they disagree with what I just said or have something additional in a combination of physical and virtual as we go forward. Over.
Yes, sir, this is Rosa. I like the idea of a combination of both for the same reason you said, for those that, when we have it at the golf course, or, we had it at the Centennial for the military members that can make it, but for our off-post members, so they can dial in and make it also.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Thanks. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at the chat now. Okay, Rosa, I got it. Mark, thank you for joining in, and Karen. Okay, yeah, I agree. She had a question in the chat about, or said that she made the money back from the tickets and donations. We just need to figure it out. So yeah, I think the signal ball we punted to the right in November. Now, over the next few months, wouldn't be a bad time to start bringing that back up again, and then we got plenty of time to start selling tickets. So I think my successor, Curtis Nowak, I know he is a Signal Corps Regimental Association member. I was speaking with Eric. I think he may be a member of AFCEA, and I think he'll probably be he'll want to get more involved. But I'll pause there if there's any other questions for me on what I was able to glean from AFCEA International or our chapter before we go into discussing the nominations of our core officers and our vice presidents for certain programs, membership, conference, symposium, corporate affairs, etc. So I'll pause. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, please. Okay, so I know not everyone's read our chapter bylaws. We worked it 2 years ago. I had to send a copy to AFCEA a few months ago, or about a month ago, that we had already worked on the latest draft and just cleaned it up a little bit and sent it. And with a caveat that once we get the new set of core officers, we'd have to relook that with the board of directors, and it's laid out in the bylaws. So we'll make sure that the bylaws get sent out to everyone, so you have that. And so what we're doing now is we're going to nominate some officers to serve as these core set of officers, and those are the president, executive vice president, secretary, and the treasurer. Those are the core set, and then we have several vice president memberships as we go down, and I'll talk to some of those. That isn't a voting, that's an appointment by the officers. But if you go back to the back, I do know that me and Andrew have spoken. His recommendation is that the president is either a senior 06 or a senior civilian that's within industry, and so I'm over at my mama's house right now, so you guys have to bear with me. That's what the good thing being mobile is, after doing some clearing. So the president is, of course, the face of the chapter, outward reaching, and again, that was the recommendation. It can be any member that's of current standing that wants to be nominated. Andrew sent me a note. He couldn't be here. He nominated me to continue at least until we have a special election or sometime next year. I'm actually transitioning, as most of you know. I don't have a problem still sitting in until at some time we have somebody, but that again, that is me. So what I'd like to do now is see if there is any other nominees that the members have for the office of the president. And I'll stand by if there's any nominees. Now, I'm not running for office. I'm doing this. So again, it won't hurt Shell's feelings. As a matter of fact, our bylaws, I think we're stretching the limits of our bylaws anyway, of how long a president can be serving. And so just for your knowledge, the president in our bylaws becomes part of the board of directors. It's not a core member, and is still involved in the chapter. So again, it's not my plans are still to maintain to stay in the chapter, but it doesn't necessarily have to be as president. But again, like I said, if there's no other nominees, I'd be willing to hold down the fort until we get somebody that's interested in the chap and a good standing member. Okay, and again, after this, some of you may not want to come up. If you have any nominees, we're gonna give it until next week, next Thursday, and then we're going to aggregate those and send them off to corporate, and then they're going to send out the actual surveys in the voting stuff to the nominees for, so I don't want you to feel if you don't, because we don't have every member on, they'll have an opportunity if you want to send an email to Eric and CC me on any nominees you have. Okay, I'm going to go now to executive vice president. So again, this position is sort of like, I guess you would consider it like an executive officer to the president that takes care of the things that when the president's not able to, but also gets into a lot of assist the vice president for corporate affairs if we have one. We don't have one right now, in engaging with corporate, and also helping out with getting some of the speakers, etc. So, I love this real time thing that's going on there. So anyway, what I think I would probably, nominate at this point. I would not mind Andrew Hare, who's been heavily involved, continuing in that capacity. So I'll have a nomination for him. I also think there's also potential for a nomination from I'll pause there. I gave my nomination up, and then I'll see if there's anybody else that has any other nominations. Back over to the membership. Okay. So I think right now it's Andrew Hare is one nominee, and like I said, you can send them via email out as well. Okay, so for secretary, I nominate, because he's been there a little bit longer than the rest of us, I nominate Eric Fernandez for secretary. That's a key position. Shane Haggerty was filling it. Shane hadn't had the opportunity to participate as much as he'd like to. But Eric has been the keeper of the chapter for a while. And it would hurt us not to have Eric continue to be there for us. And so I nominate him for secretary. And back over to the rest of the members for any other nominees you may have.
Our messages, we got a nomination for Rosa for new treasurer.
Okay, I was gonna get to treasurer next. Okay, so we put Rosa down for treasurer. I think that would be good. I was thinking of somebody of some industry, but I think that would be great for Rosa because she's been involved with a lot of everything that's going on as well. So, if you'd like, I second that nomination for Rosa, and I'd like to get anybody I get somebody to second for the rest of the positions, or state or not second it, and we'll remove the names. So anybody second for president? Okay, I'm looking at the stuff now. So they also have, okay, I got you, Collins. Okay, second for hair. Andrew.
Second that.
Okay. And Eric's, there's been like 50 for Eric. Okay, and then treasurer Rosa, I second her. And then what about for Captain Collins?
No, I
Captain-
wasn't trying to put my name on the treasurer. I was trying to second the other ones.
No, I
I'm not
think
gonna- I don't- not here
somebody,
long enough.
one of our members put you down as, so. Okay.
I just don't think I have the longevity here.
Okay, so you're asked to be removed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody second the removal? Because we already got a second for you. Okay. Go ahead if you wish. I think that's fine. Okay. All right. Again, if there's any other nominees, now the time. If not, please send it over to Eric, CC me, and then what we'll do is we'll send out any other nominees we get out to the membership for a second before we roll up the list and send that to corporate corporate international headquarters so we can look at. Okay. Any other comments on the core set of folks? Over. Okay. All right, let's go to the next chart, please, if you would. Now, this isn't these are not going to go on the ballots, but we did want to go over this to make sure that we are good, and then see if there's any volunteers that we have for some of the other vice presidents, so we can get some of those things rolling. So the first one is vice president of programs with Karen Derrickson. I'd recommend that she still remains there. There is also I got a little bit of a slightly different list, Eric, than you got here, that we put into the bylaws, but I'll cover some of that here. So the programs, I think it would be great to keep Karen, and even in her new capacity in that. Does Karen, are you okay with that? Over. Okay, I see she said yes. Okay, now if Rosa is being nominated for vice president for for the treasurer, do we have any volunteers that can pick up the vice president for membership? Okay, we will leave. We'll have to figure that one out, or the secretary may have to pick that one up. All right. What about? So we have Glenda Toon as the vice president for education. She's not here. Is anybody else interested in that? Or we keep that as I think we keep that in that position. Okay. Now these are the ones that I have in area. My fault. This is what we had in the bylaws, and I think it was sort of a mix of our old bylaws and then what we borrowed from the Alamo chapter. But the other ones that I have on here, so we still have a due out for the membership. The other ones I have on here is director of conferences and symposia, but I think that can sort of fall up under the programs if we don't get anyone, unless somebody is interested in taking on that specific one. And that one I think would be either that one or what Karen's doing with the October Tech Day is going to be important. But is anybody interested in that? Okay. The next one we had down was Vice President for Corporate Affairs. Vice President for Publicity, which I think covers probably some of the, we have it right there, publicity. Anybody interested in that? I'm not hearing anything. You guys, nobody wants to volunteer. And then the last one is Vice President for Young AFCEANs. And I think they're going to change. I didn't cover that earlier. They're going to change the name from Young AFCEANs to something else. So it doesn't, you don't put a young or junior in there, because young I think it goes up to what, 40? And everybody else is old, so I don't qualify. But I think that, with some of the ones we had down there, maybe with some of the enlisted affairs and the young FC, I think we need to get somebody that's energetic, that meets that criteria. That may be something that would be good for Liz to maybe consider. And one of the other ones that was looking at, and I see Lon Carl is always in, and then Mark Paulus. Are you guys interested in getting tagged with one of those vice president positions? Over.
Okay. Hey, sir, this is Lon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I thought I was maybe talking to myself, but go ahead.
No, I had audio problems earlier in the meeting, so unfortunately I didn't hear your initial report. But as far as the positions go, I am not exactly sure what some of those vice presidents have as responsibilities. Sounds like publicity might just be, well, it's probably more than just sending emails out, so I'd like to know a little bit more about that.
Okay, if you hold on, let me read you the bylaws since I failed to send them out. I'm going to read that position on publicity. Hold on a sec. Okay. So, and again, this may be me trying to get out, but it says the vice president of publicity shall render assistance to all other members of the board in publicizing chapter activities through local and national media outlets. The Vice President of Publicity shall establish and serve as the chairman of the Publicity Committee and be responsible for general supervision, including all associated subcommittees, shall be responsible for external messaging on behalf of the chapter and serve as a member of the board.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm best suited for that, but I suppose I could give that a shot. And however, the other vice presidency that you mentioned was which one again?
So again, and this thing could change because the bylaws are going to be relooked as part of the next month's meeting, and some of them can be merged. We took these based off of what Alamo have, but there are the ones that are still open are a director of, or vice president, director of conferences and symposia, and really the big conference, I guess if you want to say, what we're going to try to move forward on is this Tech Tac Day in October, and we're going to try to grow that. So I think I would be leading the coordination for that. I know Karen has sort of been working that under the programs. And then we had the vice president of corporate affairs, and that was engaging with corporations to try to build their participation. In that, Andrew's sort of been covering on that, but probably needs some assistance by somebody that's just focused on that. And I think that'd probably be a good one for one of our corporate members. I mean, it could be you. That'd be good for you too, but the corporate. And then we did have a director of an awards too. I forgot to say that one earlier. So the award vice president of charge of awards will manage the annual awards program that AFCEA International puts out. And that's something I think we need as well, is we don't, we get a lot of, there's a lot of awards, and both chapter awards and then individual awards that may need some assistance in making sure that we nominate our folks in our chapter and they get pushed up. And then the other one, the last one was the vice president, director of the Young AFCEA program. So Lon, I mean, I'm not twisting your arm, but the award, I think the awards would be good as well. We need somebody to cover down on that for us.
Roger, sir. Yeah, I think I might be better suited for that one, actually. The awards.
Okay. Well, you know what? While I'm still in the position officially, I'm going to nominate you for that. Do I have a second?
I second, sir.
Okay, fantastic. So welcome, Lon, as the vice president for awards. Now I know that Mark Paulus is on too, and I don't know if he's typing or he can hear. Are you interested in any of the remaining ones?
Sir, I think I'm gonna have to pass this year. I got too many moving parts over here, but I do want to see the new bylaws and stuff, and let's see what happens next time around. Okay. Okay.
Sounds good.
Anybody? I can work with Mr. Shell instead of Colonel Shell. How's that, sir?
That's right, Bert Shell. I'm phrasing that. Okay. So let me see. We've got 15 members on. I can't see everybody. Is there anybody that has some capacity to come in that would want to want to be appointed for this next year, or until otherwise somebody else comes in any of those vice president positions over? Okay. Don't feel compelled. If you're interested, we may reach out to you. or we'll send it out, or send an email back to us if you're interested, and I'll send the bylaws out and you guys can read through. That's something we probably need to do as well. Now I'm going to have to, I appreciate everybody's time. I've got to meet with somebody over here, meeting with my parents. I can come back on but I'd like to kick it back over to Eric to at least close it up. If I don't come back in, but I gotta sit and meet with him for a few minutes. So back over to you, Eric.
Okay, everybody, just wanted to make sure that we recapped. Do have quite a few nominations. Please consider any positions that you might find of interest, or anything that you feel that you can contribute back to the organization. Please let me know. We'll try to find a place for it. We are always looking for more people to get involved in the organization. Again, as we continue to navigate the COVID and operating environment within the U.S. as it stands, we do hope to open this up again to in-person meetings and events as we've planned for. We do not have a timetable at this time, but as far as this meeting goes, we will collect, and through the next coming weeks, any nominations or volunteers for appointed and nominated positions, and we will send those back for official vote in a meeting around the third week of July. If there's not any more questions on positions or anything else at this time, I'll go ahead and move on to any questions from the group as a whole. Okay, I've got nothing heard and nothing in the messages at this time. Again, we will conclude. I will send out the notes for this meeting, as well as a current nominative list in the next couple of weeks for official voting. I'll stay on the line for about 5 to 10 minutes for any questions anybody might have, or any discussions they would like to occur. Thanks.
Eric, this is Lon. Can you hear me?
I got you, Lon.
Yeah. Just wanted to see if there was any open actions for awards that I might need to address pretty quickly, or if it's all going to be new actions going forward. Over.
Lon, it would be all new. We haven't exactly established an awards program for the specific El Paso chapter, and there would be coordination with the international chapter as far as international awards and the nomination processes for that. But I think we have that literature. I think a lot of it's in the bylaws, but that would pretty much be it. It'd be more of an establishment of the awards program within the chapter.
I see. Thank you. That's all I had.
Appreciate it, Lon.